Testing. Good afternoon. We are going to be starting momentarily. If you could all take a seat so that when the judges arrive, we are ready to begin. Thank you. All right, Superior Court for the State of Washington en banc, the Honorable George F. B. Apple presiding.
You may be seated. And good afternoon and welcome to the investiture, the formal ceremonial investiture of Judge Miguel Duran. I just have a few remarks. I won't take long, but I did want to, for those of you who have not yet had the pleasure of being in front of Judge Duran or have met him, because many of us had not met him before just a couple of months ago. I would like to offer this. Though we had not met him, many of us had not met him until quite recently, we liked him immediately, right away. I can assure those of you who do not know him that you will find him affable, hardworking, taking his work seriously, although I don't think he takes himself as seriously as he takes his work, and a good fit, and will make a good judge. I do want to acknowledge the members of the community and the bench who are present, starting with Councilmember Sam Lowe. Also, Adam Cornell, our prosecutor, and Heidi Percy, our clerk. There she is. Judges, past and present, here to witness this ceremony. Retired Judge Thomas Wynn. Where are you? There you are. Retired Judge Dave Kurtz. Judge Anita Ferris. Judge Bruce Weiss. Judge Joe Wilson. Judge Richard Okrent. Judge Maribeth Dingledy. Judge Millie Judge. Judge Jennifer Langben. Judge Paul Thompson. Judge Anna Alexander. Judge Adira Nicolico. Judge Karen Moore. Judge John Scott. Judge Patrick Moriarty. What? Yes. Actually, I don't think we do have him. Was he? Oh, there he is. Okay, good. All right. Good. Very good. All right. Those are the people that I know are here from our bench. From the district court bench, we are pleased to have with us Judge Tam Bowie and Judge Anthony Howard. And from the Edmonds Municipal Court, we have Judge Whitney Rivera. Where did I see her? Ah, there she is. Hello. Okay. I indicated I'm not going to belabor my remarks. I did want to make sure that everybody had at least an understanding of how this bench regards our new member, Judge Duran. But we also have speakers on behalf of him this afternoon. They will be Gabriella Wagner, Edward Hemingway, and Peggy Duran, prior to my administering the oath ceremonially. At this time, I'm going to ask if Gabriella Wagner would come forward and say a few words. I should. I think there's a little switch on there.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is terrifying. I arrived here late. I'm apparently on TV. Arriving late to court is my first worst nightmare. Speaking in front of this many judges is my second worst nightmare, which is awkward as a litigating attorney. And then having only a Post-it note to guide me is kind of my third worst nightmare. Because after 10 years of practice, I'm still have a great deal of respect and admiration and reverence for the bench, and that results in trepidation. I'm terrified of judges, and that could complicate my future relationship with Miguel, who has been one of my very close friends for the past blank number of years. I'm not sure, and also a coworker. I didn't prepare more than a Post-it note today because I'm not anticipating any difficult questions. And I'm not anticipating an opposition to my position, which is that this bench and this county and state and society as a whole is very lucky to have Miguel as part of it and as part of the judicial system. I worked with Miguel at a litigation defense law firm for the past X number of years that I don't remember. And he always struck me as having qualities that resonate with the role of a judge and fit right in. I have always noticed his compassion, which is evident whether he's dealing with me, opposing counsel, our clients, the opposing clients. I've always noticed his thoughtfulness. He never answers off the cuff. He thinks, he's not impulsive. He thinks it through, and he generally gives the right answer. And most of all, I've noticed his kindness, which is what drew me to Miguel. He has a way of delivering hard news or constructive criticism or non-constructive criticism in such a delicate and kind way that you don't know that it even happened. I tried a case with him in March. I know he offered me some constructive feedback, but I don't know what it was because he did it so delicately and kindly that all I felt was praise. And I think that's important for judges. I've always appreciated judges, many of the ones on this bench that I've been before, in the way that they can deliver opinions, whether it's for or against your side, with delicacy and grace and compassion. And Miguel embodies those characteristics. I'm getting tearful because the only negative repercussion of his appointment to the bench is that I don't get to see him every day anymore. And that sucks. He's one of my closest friends at work, and I'm going to miss him a ton. And I'm going to take more Snohomish County cases so that I can get up here more often. So thank you. And congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Ms. Wagner. Next is Edward Hemingway.
Well, Miguel, you know I usually talk off the top, but today I'm actually going to read something. May it please. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on your behalf, Miguel. Welcome, friends, family, colleagues, judges, and Snohomish County. I met Miguel Duran as an opposing counsel on personal injury cases. You learn a lot from a person when you oppose them. And as opposing counsel, you sit, you size up your opponent, your opposite counsel. You learn through experience of the litigation process, the character of your opponent. And you know how to prepare your present case and cases in the future. And with Miguel, I had to prepare. This is what I learned about Miguel on the battlefield of litigation. First and foremost, Miguel Duran is a man of integrity and honesty. What does that mean to me? It means that I can trust him. No sneak attacks. He was a straightforward attorney. It means that what he says is what he means. No fluff, no guff, no hiding the ball. It's God telling me to talk off the cuff, I guess. To me, that's the most precious thing as an attorney, to be able to look across the table at the person that you're facing and trust them. Because as time goes on, for whatever reason, that preciousness is fading away. And I particularly enjoyed that every time I was with Miguel, because I can trust him. When we were in battle, we'd make an agreement. And even though it wasn't a handshake agreement, it was virtual or over an email or something, I knew that agreement would be held strong. And that's what you need as you go through litigation. To say what he means and what he will do, he will honor it. I enjoyed that about Miguel. What else did I learn? I learned that he was always well prepared. Now, as a plaintiff's counsel, you always have to be well prepared because you have to prove the case. As a defense counsel, all you have to do is poke holes in it. Find one way or another to poke a hole in the case. A good attorney, an honest attorney, will do that with the evidence. Others attorneys will do that with personal attacks. Miguel always did that based on the evidence. And I appreciated that. And so did my clients. Win or lose, my clients appreciated that. And he would look at it, why should we fight the small stuff, Ed? Let's take a look at the merits of the case. Let's go forward and try this case, arbitrate this case on its merits. I appreciated that. Miguel, I really, truly did appreciate it. And third, Miguel was one of the best cross-examiners that I have ever met. And I meet a lot of attorneys in my litigation. What do I mean by that? The best cross-examiner. He did it with humor, with the evidence. He didn't do it in a vicious way. In fact, he would always have just like a little giggle. And then he would ask my clients the question. And I would go, oh no, that's what I'm thinking. Here it comes. And he would ask my client the question. He had set my client up during deposition because he's so well prepared. He would take a piece of a medical record, ask my client about it, and then have my client read back his own deposition comments and impeach my client. I would have to come back and rehabilitate. Those three skills that I talked about, his integrity, his being well prepared, his ability to cross-examine, are skills that are needed to be a judge, a good judge. So what do you need to be a good judge? Yes, you need integrity and honesty. He's that. He has this as a quality of his character. So that's not going to change. That's who he is. To be a good judge, you need clarity and understanding of the law. He's always well prepared. He knows the law, and he's going to learn new law on things that real estate law that he hasn't touched, family law that he may have to take a good look at. But behind me is a massive amount of knowledge and resources for you, Miguel. And he has the ability to cross-examine. Why do you have to be a good cross-examiner as a judge? Because attorneys are smart. We bring our emotions, and if you read them and the judge hears them, oh, that sounds pretty believable. It's only when that judge asks that one question that the attorney has to respond on. Well, counsel, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, Your Honor, such and such and such. Then he goes to the other attorney. Well, counsel, Mr. Hemingway has responded to that. What is your response? And it's that cross-examination pointing to the weaknesses in each person's argument that leads to what makes a good judge. A judge has to be able to look at the facts and the law, not as they just presented by the attorney, but as presented in the mind of the judge and all the cases that that judge has read and all the facts that judge has heard over the numerous years, the knowledge and experience that judge has had. And then he looks at this individual case that's sitting in front of him. So yes, Miguel would be a good judge. But what makes a good judge a great judge? Is it his understanding of the law? Is it his ability to apply the law to the facts and make a decision that will affect an outcome of the case? Is it his ability to be the gatekeeper of the evidence, to allow certain testimony in, certain facts in, certain documents in that could turn the outcome of a case? Yes, all those things are what makes a good law. But the practice of law is a human endeavor. Every aspect of our lives, from before we are born to well after we have died, is guided by, directed, and influenced by the law. So what is the most powerful and influential aspects of the law? Is it the law itself? The codification of the law? The law as accepted by the courts and by society? Is it the law itself and the practice of the law that is the most powerful and influential aspects of the law? Is it an enforcement of the law by the prosecutors, by civil attorneys? Is it a defense of individuals and property by the law? Is that the most important and powerful influence on individuals in the law, society, and property? I postulate to you, Miguel Duran, Judge Miguel Duran, that the most powerful, influential aspect of the law through law and society is not just the law, but a judge's discretion. It is a judge's discretion on the interpretation of the law, the facts in a case, the equity in the law, the weight of the facts of the law, the parity of the parties against one another. Is this a pro se person against an experienced attorney? All that is presented to you before you on the bench. It is the judge's discretion. That is the most important, powerful, influential aspect of the law in a case on a human being and on his property. And that person is going to be before you. And it is your discretion that is very important, very powerful, very influential. It is your discretion that will be the turning point in a person's life and in the life of that person's family and the repercussions on the general society outside of that person. In the discretion of a judge can make a decision based on the law. A judge can actually go outside the law with a little human compassion and a sense of justice of what is right and wrong, and the equity in life that is a turning point in somebody's life. Now, once a judge makes an order or a decision, whatever that may be, years can go by if that decision is a wrong decision. Or if it's the right decision, the parties that are involved are appreciative, except for the person that loses. So I want you to remember, as everybody has mentioned, your humanity, your compassion, and your humor. Hold on to that humor. There's one thought that I want to pass on to you. It is the silence of your discretion. The silence of your discretion. That is the turning point in a person's life before you. The silence of your discretion. That's yours. Guard it, guard that silence with your soul. That is yours. We are your friends, your colleagues, your family, and the judiciary behind me. We're all here now, and we're going to be here in the future to help you and safeguard that discretion. You're going to hear and see and know so many things that no human being should endure because of society. We will be here for you to endure and for you to flourish. For you are not only going to be a good judge, you're going to be a great judge. So we welcome you, Your Honor. May God's blessing continue to shine and flourish in you, the Honorable Judge Miguel Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Hemingway. Very insightful. And finally, Judge Duran's actual mother, Peggy Duran. Would you please come forward, Mrs. Duran, and And see if you can pry that microphone out of there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It warms a mother's heart to hear her colleagues' accolades for her son. When Miguel asked me to speak for 5 minutes, I was honored and a bit anxious. I felt the sweep of generations, our parents, our grandparents, ancestors from Spain, from the United States, Ireland, Germany, all that contributed to his being, approving this moment. Thoughts of the people who have most supported and influenced him flooded my mind, beginning with his physician father, Jose Miguel, who introduced him to books and imagination and showed by example what professional dedication entails. To his brother, Andres, first friend and playmate, now a family practice physician in Erie, Pennsylvania, and devoted father of 4. His sister here, Christina, artistic influence, and currently speech therapist and medical device consultant on insomnia, pain, and depression. Friends, teachers, high school debate club, a National Merit Scholarship, the University of Texas, the Pacific Northwest, which he fell in love with, NYU School of Law, corporate law in Atlanta, all have played their parts in Miguel's early formation. Central today, however, is his amazing wife, Sol Valeria Ordóñez, whose intelligence, poise, wit, stamina, beauty, and work ethic support and challenge Miguel every day in every way. She is also a new RN who began her hospital work just as COVID began, a baptism by plague. Her mother, Yvonne, is the backbone of their extended family. She worked alone for years to ensure her children's education and well-being. I am proud to be her comadre and am so grateful for the warmth and welcome that flow between her and Miguel. Back to Miguel, the reason for our celebration today. From a mother's perspective and as a former teacher, I loved his enthusiasm and ability to focus for extraordinary amounts of time from a very young age. When he and Andres discovered board games and card games, they would pore over the rules and strategies for hours. Now he enjoys reviewing the art, plotting, and design of sophisticated board games and sharing those with family and friends. What distinguished Miguel early on for me was his honesty. He simply did not lie. His responses were forthright. There may have been silent sins of omission when covering for siblings, but through the years, I have depended on Miguel for truthful responses. I note this because when I was young, I found the easy lie, well, easy. That is not Miguel. Everyone here understands how critical honesty is to the job ahead. Another trait that Miguel developed intentionally, I believe, is his fair-mindedness. Mary Carroll High School Debate Club reinforced that. He was called on to understand and argue both sides of positions and to find the key points in the major topics of the day. He went all the way to the national competition High school can be harsh, but schools that provide different avenues for individual growth make a difference for our young people. The last virtue to be noted in Miguel would be his generosity. He's always sharing what he has, what he likes, his counsel, and his help with friends, family, and strangers in need. He donates his time, shares his home with friends and family, judges young debaters and mock trials, and participates in numerous volunteer activities. There is no doubt that Miguel has a wide, generous streak. So here we are with a good man who has been raised to an honored position. We thank all of you who helped make this happen, and we hope that you will continue to support Miguel as he does his best to maintain the integrity of our judicial system. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Mrs. Duran. Everyone should have such a mother. And now, Judge Duran, would you please come forward? Because it is now time for us to publicly carry out time for me to administer your oath. If you have there you are. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Miguel M. Duran.
I, Miguel M. Duran,
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of Superior Court Judge
and I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of Superior Court Judge
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
according to the law and to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. But do not sit down, because at this time, I would ask that your family come forward in order to robe you formally. Thank you. And this is your father, Dr. Duran?
It is.
And now, Judge Duran, would you do you have a few remarks of your own? If you do, there's a microphone here firmly embedded in the in the stand.
Thank you, Judge Apple. Goodness. It is extremely daunting to stand before you today and attempt to follow the speakers who have come before me. How humbling it is and how fortunate I feel to have such eloquent and thoughtful colleagues, friends, and family. I specifically wanted Gabriella and Edward to speak because of the content of their character and the impact they've had on my prior life as a civil litigator. One as a friend and mentor at my defense firm, and the other as an esteemed adversary on the plaintiff's side. With Gabriella, I knew that I wanted to work alongside her before I had even walked out of our interview room 3 years ago, or X years ago, depending on how you tell it. She was and is, as I'm sure many of you noticed, whip smart, vivacious, and just as importantly, genuine in her enthusiasm for the work she does and for lifting up her fellow attorneys. She also turned out to be the best mentor a legal writer could have, helping me trim down my love for flowery prose in favor of precise, powerful language when drafting motions and appellate briefing. Her training may not be entirely evident in today's speech, and for that I apologize. Edward and I have had several cases together over the years, and during that time, I developed a deep appreciation for both how excellently he could channel logic and passion in a closing argument, and then also how often I could look forward to a well-rounded and usually very funny conversation about our lives and current events in the world around us after a hearing had concluded. I can't say enough about how much I've appreciated his candor in the years that we've known each other, both telling me when he thought I performed well, and also politely letting me know when he thought I had acted in a way in which he disagreed. I thought Gabriella and Edward paired up nicely as speakers, not simply because I believe them to be genuinely good human beings with whom I've worked in the past, but because they've always provided to me examples of how we can be deeply invested in advocating on behalf of our clients, while also treating opposing counsel and their clients with the respect and, even where appropriate, the kindness that they deserve. In my practice and in my life beyond practice, I have never believed that an adversarial process should necessarily lead to animosity, that opposition to the beliefs of another person should give rise to belittling their holder. The finest attorneys, in my opinion, are the ones who recognize the humanity in the person sitting at the opposition's table, counsel and client alike, and who remember that strength does not rule out humility, nor does passion rule out generosity when navigating through the courts and laws we have built to resolve our disputed truths. Gabriella and Edward are two attorneys who embody those principles, and I wanted you to hear from them today so that you could feel a little bit of what I've happened to feel in my practice with them. I also cannot say enough how fortunate I am to be a part of my loving family. My parents, Jose Miguel and Peggy, seem to successfully run a medical practice together in South Texas and also raise 3 growing and opinionated children while doing so. They have always been role models, both as a relationship and as individuals, for what I've wanted from my life. While they were able to provide a comfortable life for us, both of them had been raised in big families which had endured significant hardship. They made certain that we as children understood just how privileged we were, and also that we had a responsibility to work hard to continue to deserve that privilege. The lives in service that my sister Christina and my brother Andres have built for themselves tell me that they've risen to that challenge, and I will keep striving to make certain that I do as well. I'm also lucky enough to have been embraced into a second large and beautiful family, by which I mean the Familia Ordóñez. My second mother, Yvonne, came to this country with her husband as refugees from war in Nicaragua and had to build a new life within the United States, raising 5 children of her own while also assisting other members of their family in relocating here. That family tree has now flourished into many branches here in Washington, several of which are present here today. What an incredible pleasure and honor it has been and continues to be to join this family and become a part of its tradition. Finally, my wife's soul. I need to be brief here for my own composure's sake, although she deserves much, much more. My wife completed nursing school by the middle of 2020, as you've already heard, while COVID was taking hold of our country, and at a time when we still had so many unanswered questions about just how grave the cost of the pandemic would be, and whether we would find any sort of vaccine which would protect us against it. Knowing that she could not fully know the risks involved, she has still chosen to work in a hospital setting where the need has been greatest. For the last 2 years, every time I think that my work is hard or that I've got little left to give, I only need to look to her to know that I can work harder, that I can give more. That's too reductionist, and it ignores so much more of her character. Her past as a law clerk, her talents as an artist and outdoorswoman, the effort she exerts to constantly innovate upon and improve our home life, and frankly, her true beauty as a person and as a partner. I would not be here without Soul's support, yes, but just as importantly, I could not be here without her example. Being called to service here in Snohomish County, where I first began my legal practice in Washington as a public defender in the city of Everett, is an incredible honor and responsibility. I could not ask for a better bench with whom to share that responsibility. This bench that I have come to know while seeking appointment, and now in the few weeks since my appointment, has been warm and welcoming, leaping at every opportunity to offer assistance when I had a question, while also encouraging me to develop my own beliefs regarding jurisprudence in the courtroom and how best to serve outside of it. It is a true pleasure to join this esteemed group of colleagues and work alongside them, and I hope to be worthy of their intellects and their generosity. In that spirit, I'm still learning what it means to be a judge and to serve in that capacity. But after a lifetime spent thinking about our justice system and what it means to the litigants within its courtrooms and to our society on a larger scale, I believe I have some notion on where to begin. I don't exaggerate when I'm speaking about a lifetime, because I do remember climbing onto a couch when I was young, watching Spencer Tracy and Inherit the Wind, and later Denzel Washington in Philadelphia, and thinking about how the disputes in their stylized courtrooms reflected bigger questions with which our society had to struggle. It's what led me to join speech and debate in junior high school, and then to try mock trial in high school, where a rising, brilliant attorney named Joseph Huerta volunteered a great deal of his time to show me how to speak in front of a judge and gave me a tour of my first courtroom. And of course, it guided me to a long career as an attorney, both as a public defender and later in civil litigation defense prior to this point. As a judge, it's no longer my place to advocate for clients and their concerns, or frankly, to speak or think very much in the first person. Anyone who has business before the court should be able to argue their case with the expectation that it will be heard fairly and that they will be treated with decency. That expectation should and will be without regard to race, gender, sexual orientation, religious belief, or any other characteristic that should ultimately play no role in the fair administration of the law. I will do my best within my role to promote confidence and trust in our system of laws and communicate simply and clearly so that all listeners in the courtroom can understand the court. This courthouse exists for the benefit of the people, and I will do my utmost to make it a welcome. I'd like to close very briefly with an often cited quote from the poet Omar Khayyam. It was probably used most famously about 98 years ago in a court of law, one of the most historic closing arguments our country has ever known. So I be written in the book of love. Setting aside the rest of the context of that closing argument, which I read at a very young age, I was always moved by that particular line and its larger meaning, which I interpreted, if you'll allow me, as meaning essentially this: we often have a choice to make between being present in the moment and doing what is right for its own sake, or acting in some other fashion with an eye towards some greater reward which may await us in the future. We as human beings live very short lives, and in seeking larger purpose and our long-term goals, we can lose sight of the ties which connect us with our neighbors. And those ties, reduced to their simplest form, are the basic love we all share with one another for life and the freedom to enjoy it. We can focus on our differences, yes, and in court, advocates will often be called upon to do so. But the choice to remember our shared humanity and values in the process, to treat one another with tolerance and attempt understanding even when conflict makes that process seem almost unbearable, is constantly available. We always have a choice regarding into which book we seek to have our names written. And so I be written in the book of love. I hope to oversee a courtroom wherein the parties within are encouraged to treat one another with the same decency and respect which my colleagues here today, new and old, have shown me. I will say that I took my first vows on July 5th, spoilers, these are actually the second, and have spent the last week and a half hearing our court's criminal motions calendars. The efforts shown before me by the diligent attorneys for the state and the defense throughout those hearings gives me very high hopes for the future in that regard. All that said, our time together is short, and there's a great deal of work before our court that seeks our attention and our guidance. It's with a great deal of humility and appreciation that I look forward to doing my part to see it through. Thank you. And just for your information, there will be a reception following this that all are invited to attend at the Angel of the Winds Convention Center just across the street. So please, if you have a moment extra, I've certainly called upon you for a lot of your time already, but the rest should be at least somewhat fun.
Thank you, Judge Duran. And now would you please take your place here on the bench that you have joined. I don't know what more there is I can add. I just want to say that in my view, this county is getting an excellent judge, and I have no doubt that you will all agree. I was also going to invite you to go to the Angel of the Winds, but you know, you know that is where the reception is to be held. I hope to see you there. At this time, court is adjourned.
All rise.